Howdy folks, and thanks for joining me today for another episode of Porch Talk here at Cedar Creek Homestead, and hope you're having a wonderful day today. We certainly are. It's been dry here for about a month now. We haven't had any measurable rain to speak of, but overnight we had a half-inch rain. Everything's soaked, it's settled to dust. And we have the next 7 days or several chances of rain, so we're very thankful for that and thank the Lord for the good rain. And so I wanted to talk to you today. A subject I thought about this week was preparing for the next pandemic. And it probably should have been called preparing for the next whatever. But before we start, if you're not a subscriber, if you'd subscribe to our channel, if you'd like to help us out, subscribing to our channel is a way to help us. Also, give us a thumbs up, comment on the video. All those things help. You're welcome to share the video. And after you subscribe, a little bell icon will pop up, and if you're not familiar with that, all you got to do is click on that little bell, and then every time we upload videos, you will be notified in your notification feed on YouTube. So our subject today was preparing for the next pandemic, and I wanted to say that, you know, I don't know whether we'll have another pandemic or another wave of this Kung flu come through or not, but we're certainly being told that we're going to have through the news media. And there's a bunch of stuff going on that I think's lies and falsities that's being said and promoting an agenda. But some say they don't think this virus is even real. I do believe it's a real virus, but I think it's being used in a way to help slow our country down, to bring us to our knees, to make us surrender to the will of a small segment of the population. So what of the liberal thinkers, I guess you would call them today, but nonetheless, let's say I'm not worried about getting the virus. You may be scared to death of getting it. I've been through open heart surgery. They tell me I should watch that the virus could be deadly if I was to get it, all that stuff. So I'm careful. I use hand sanitizer, do what I can, but I'm not running around scared to death. I'm going places, seeing people, doing things because I'm not going to live my life in a state of fear. And here in our area, the thing is opened up. Things are going great. I've known a few people that have tested positive for the virus. They had to quarantine themselves. So one particular lady got it. She was going to go for some kind of procedure. They wanted her checked for the virus first, so she went and got checked, and in the process of that, she tested positive. She wasn't sick, didn't know she was sick or anything. She had to wait 15 days, and her family had to quarantine with her. After she was cleared after 15 days, they tested her again. Then she was negative for the virus. And but then her family had to wait 15 days, and her children, her husband, another 15 days there, and then they had to all be tested. So a total of 30 days when she was never even sick with the virus. But anyway, they made it through that, and they survived through that episode there. But the thing that has been around here, we've known people that have tested positive but never was sick, and I just can't hardly believe there's that many what they call the asymptomatic people. Perhaps there is. But anyway, using common sense precautions. When we have a big flu epidemic going on in the wintertime, I'm always a lot more cautious about shaking hands. I am more careful to make sure I use hand sanitizer, wash my hands, stay a little ways from people, do some things. So that's what we're doing here, just common sense things. But nonetheless, let's say we had another wave of the pandemic, and let's say nobody caught it at all. Let's say nobody got sick from it, but they begin to quarantine us. Right now in our area, you know, they've opened things back up, and they're starting to gripe and complain because they've opened back up our places. They're also doing a lot of testing here in Oklahoma. Well, the news media has it on every news cycle. Its cases have continued to climb, record number of cases. Well, the other day on their update that the state gives out, they said they had done a record number of tests in one day, and that was 1,000. And they expect to get way more tests than that. So in 1,000 tests, they're going to have some that's going to test positive. And this Mrs. Burke, I believe her name is, that wears the scarf and stuff and was on these conferences with the president, she said that there is a lot of false negatives and as well as the same number of false positives. So that means a lot of these cases are probably not even, people don't even really have it. It's just that the test didn't catch it. And of course the same can be said that some actually have it that the tests show they're fine. But nonetheless, we're not having more people hospitalized here. We're not having more deaths. But because of the increased capacity in testing, we are seeing it. In fact, the virus has killed more people here because, I'll give you an example, people that didn't even have it but have died of it because they can't get in to see their regular doctor, or they have symptoms that are really serious, but they're scared to death to go because they know if they get admitted to the hospital, their families can't be with them. They're going to go through all this different stuff, and they're just scared to death of what could be, so people are staying at home, which is killing more people than the actual virus is. And I know of a man that he has a heart condition, or had a heart condition. He passed away, but he was going to get in to see his doctor. The doctor says, the heart doctor says, well, you got to be tested for this virus first. So go down to a neighboring town and be tested. So he goes down there to be tested, and they say, sorry, you didn't have a set up through your doctor the proper channel, so you can't be tested. So he comes back home. His doctor's going to redo this thing and get him in the next day or two as soon as he gets cleared. Well, that night he dies, and this heart condition's what killed him. So the virus is killing people. We have that ain't even catching the virus. We also have people in our nursing homes here that have died, and I think a lot of them are dying of broken hearts. They can't see their children. They are, if they do see their children at some of the nursing homes, they'll bring them up to a window and they can kind of talk through the window. But it's very sad to elderly people. One lady, her daddy died, and he was in the nursing home, and she said he didn't understand that she couldn't come and visit with him. She talked to him on the phone, and the nurses said that he had asked for her and stuff, but I think he died of a broken heart. And but I think this virus is hurting more people than the actual virus actually catching it itself. But I want to share this with you. My thoughts on that is, what if this fall we have another round of this pandemic? Would we be prepared for it? Forget the fact that you might catch it and get sick and go to the hospital. That's concerning, certainly. We were going to have a family reunion next week, and my older relatives have all decided they weren't going to come. So now I guess it's put on hold, and they said maybe this fall, or we'll just wait till next year. But they're worried about this virus. Well, all of those people that don't want to come, they're going to casinos and everything that's opened up. They're going Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, Best Buy, wherever. They're going all over the country, but they're afraid to get together as a family reunion. Doesn't make much sense to me. But let's say that this fall, the news media is able to hype this up enough that they cause us to go to another standstill. I mean, there were people during this initial phase of the pandemic was frantic because they didn't have toilet paper. The stores ran out of toilet paper, of all things to run out. There was people had truckloads of toilet paper going to Sam's and places, and then later they were wanting to return the paper. I'm from the old school. If we have to, we'll use an old catalog or magazines or newspapers, whatever you have to have. There's more than Charmin to keep you clean. But I would prefer the modern day method of toilet paper. But we are prepared. We continue to prepare. We're preparing for the next whatever. If it is another wave of the pandemic, we're going to be ready here at our place. And now my encouragement to you is to get ready and to be prepared if you can. I believe the virus is a true virus, but I think that it has been jumped onto and being used in a way to slow our economy and to hurt our country. I'm going to tell you something here in our area. I read each month the reports from sales taxes. Our counties around us that went back to normal activity have seen an increase in sales tax revenue. The two big cities that have not done it, that have still had restrictions in place, and they are opening back up, the two counties is Tulsa County and Oklahoma County. And those have two cities that everybody's familiar with. Tulsa County has Tulsa in it, and Oklahoma County has Oklahoma City in it. And those two counties, their tax revenue has not recovered. It's because they have not fully opened back up and allowing people to go. And the rural people that are in our area here, they don't want to go to those big cities. They're afraid of the riots. They're afraid of all the people and all the baloney you got to go through, so they're buying more stuff online here. They're supporting our local stores, are seeing an increase in revenue because people are staying home and shopping local, which to me is a good thing. I prefer that. Our farmers markets around here have seen a very big uptick in activity because people are wanting to buy local. People that have eggs around here are putting out signs that they're sold out. They can't keep up with the demand for eggs and other products that would be available this type of the year. It's all in high demand because people, instead of going to these big box stores, are trying to buy local because they feel it's more safe to stay home and stay closer to home. And I happen to agree with them. I think it is. You may pay slightly more, but I think it would be worth the investment in the long run. So, but in our bigger cities, we're seeing them hold back. And you see in states that are liberal-leaning states that are not opening back up, and it's hurting them. And so the more left-leaning states are being slow to recover. They're having problems. In our area, the economy has boomed. Their stuff just went right back to normal. The stores are actually doing more than they were. But the housing boom, all the people that are in the service sector around this area, like I am, my type business, they are all seeing a very big uptick in business, and all of them saying they're just as busy as they can possibly be. And some are putting messages on their answering machines that they're not taking any new customers, or they are booked for at least 30 days. And I've had people call me and say, I normally use so-and-so. Could you come and help me, because my guy that I use all the time says he's not taking any new customers, or he's booked up for the next 30 days, and yada yada. And things are opening up here and doing great. The president come to Tulsa, and they made a big deal out of it because there was 6,000 and some people showed up. Well, one thing I think they need to watch is, I think a lot of people bought tickets online to go see his deal that was trying to hurt his rally. They bought them up to keep other people from going. But I also believe this, as far as we're concerned here, I wouldn't have minded went and seen him. I went and saw Bush one time, and it was a good thing. But you had to go to the Republican Party of your county. They invited you. And then you go there and get your tickets, and you have to fill out some paperwork. And that way they weeded out ones that, if you weren't already registered Republican, you wasn't going to get to go to the convention. They need some kind of systems in place to weed out those that would order tickets in, just so that they could keep other people from going. But I'm just going to tell you, I don't want to go to Tulsa. There was rioting up there. They had to use tear gas. I have cousins here that are in law enforcement with the state that they had to go up there and stay all day. And they didn't want to have to do it, but it was their job. It's what they get paid for. So they pulled out our law enforcement, on the state level, had to go up there to help guard and protect because of the rioters that come in. And anyway, I don't want to go fight that stuff. And I'll just tell you, I'll just use my silent majority, and that is I'll vote when it comes voting time. And millions and millions of people, I say over a majority of Americans, are like me. They're not going to get out and go to the stuff like that. They're just at home minding their business, but they're going to do what they feel is right when it comes time to vote. But anyway, there's a lot of false news and fake news that's being spread around, so we have to be careful. But all of that could cause us to go into another panic mode this fall or this winter and cause us another round of this pandemic. And so if it does, we need to be prepared. Do what you can now. I'll just tell you, our stores are really low on stuff. I can't say they're sold out. Some things, they're just flat out sold out. A lot of the shelves in our local stores, we go to a farm store called Atwood's, and their shelves are bare. A lot of stuff that they would normally have gobs of is low. And the reason for that is because people are stocking up. People are using common sense and stocking up. Also, there's another reason. There is a supply chain issue. One of my brother-in-laws, ex-brother-in-law, is a manager over a big plant, and they make a certain product. Well, they've been shutting their plant down, and they're shut down. He's taking vacation this week because they've had to close their plant down because the people that they produce stuff for and selling to have had cases of the Kung flu, so they've had to shut down. And because of that, there's no demand for the product they've made, so rather than just stockpile a whole bunch, they're laying people off temporarily. So that's hurting some of the jobs around here. Well, what happens if that comes back this winter and hurts the economy? The cattle and stuff seem to be coming back, and the prices of them and some of the goods seem to be coming back. You know, things are trying to level off, but there's forces out there that are trying to fight against it. So if they can, and this is an election year, so election years has always been, in my opinion, kind of worse on the economy. So it's already got that negative against it, plus the uncertainties of things. But it amazes me how the stock market and stuff just keeps coming back. The housing market, everything just, if they would quit fighting, our country would rebound, and we'd be one of the greatest. It'd be the greatest thing that's ever happened since sliced bread if we would just get back to it. But there's people fighting it that care more about getting rid of Donald Trump as president than they do the survival of our country. And sadly, that's just the facts of it. But I'm going to move on to something else. I said earlier, being prepared for another whatever. This is my opinion. But if we get a different president this fall than what we got right now, we are doomed, folks. We're going to see our economy go down the tubes. We're going to see, you talk about shortages and troubles, we're going to see more troubles than we've ever seen before. And we probably deserve it as a country because we've gone away from God, and it could be just prophecy being fulfilled. But my heart and prayer is that we keep the president we got, that things get lined out and back to normal, and that we got another 4 years of time to get better prepared. But if not, this could be it. I think we're in trouble. Their agenda right now is to do away with law enforcement. If we get rid of our law enforcement, folks, we're in trouble. Already they're closing in some of the liberal cities. They're closing down police stations. Can you imagine this? That you call 911, someone's breaking down your door, and the police department, can't get them. 911 says, what's your emergency? Is it a fire or a police related? Well, it's police related. Oh, what's going on? Well, somebody is breaking down the door of my home, and they got a gun, and they're going to kill me and rob me. I'm afraid for my life. Can I get help? Oh, why certainly. Please hold, and we will get a counselor online with you that can talk you through this situation. So you get on phone with the counselor, and they'll say, is the door open already? Well, yeah, all that's holding is the safety chain. Well, would you please hand your telephone to the robber so that we can counsel with them and help them through this time of tragedy? That's what the foolishness that is being presented today and what they want, folks. I want to be able to call 911 and know that a police officer will come to the door of my home, and if somebody's breaking down my home, I want a policeman that's going to pull his gun out and shoot them. And if he shoots them dead, so be it. Now around here, I'm just going to tell you, people are armed tooth and toenail. If we get a new president, to get their agenda passed, they're going to have to disarm us. That's an agenda out there to disarm the American public. We're one of the last nations on planet Earth to have the freedom to keep and bear arms. I'm so glad that our forefathers had enough foresight, enough God-given instinct to see that way the British controlled the firearms during the colonial times, that they had enough about them to say, we're going to fix it in the Constitution that you cannot, the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. I'm so glad they put that in there, but there's forces out there that want to remove that. Around here, even store owners and stuff are armed. I am surprised when I go into stores and businesses now that folks that have a sidearm on them, and customers that have. Now, I don't. If I wanted to carry, I can carry. In Oklahoma, you can carry. You don't even have to go get a permit. You can carry open carry if you want to. I don't like the open carry just because that's not me. I don't want to go around looking like John Wayne. But I will assure you, around here, we always have weapons, and we always have a means of protecting us. I think everybody ought to get that. And I'm going to tell you, you should be prepared now. You see what's going on. Prepare and arm yourself if you're in an area that still allows it. And people are buying up ammo. Atwood's has been sold out of ammo. The other stores are all sold out of ammo, or they have signs up that you can only buy 2 boxes of ammo, and you have to buy 1 of each caliber. I've known people that have special ordered in like 5,000 rounds of ammo. I mean, your barrel of your gun would melt down before you shot that many rounds. But people in our area, at least here in Oklahoma, have armed themselves and gotten prepared because we don't know what the next whatever is. Folks are very concerned should the president we have right now lose. And they're concerned because of what's being told. I mean, it's not that we're making up stuff. I'm telling you what they say they're going to do, what their agenda is, and it scares me to death to think that we would have a president that would get in and do these kind of things. It concerns me because the next up that could beat Trump maybe is senile. And to think that we would have a senile, sure enough, a senile president. I mean, and so whoever his running mate is will be the one that'll rule the country. And that concerns me. Who's that going to be? You know, I don't care what color they are. I don't care if it's a woman, as long as it's somebody that we can trust and is not going to throw the Constitution down the drain. But we're into the next whatever. And so preparing yourself for the next whatever, financial collapse, I believe that we could go into such a chaos if our president was to lose. I'm also even concerned the next election, even if our president wins, that the way they're so chaotic now and the troublemakers out there, and it's a very small part of the population, but it's made up of all different types of people. So it's not one particular race of people. Some are trying to make it out. No, it's not. It's made up of several different races of people. And it's not a race thing. It is a disruption thing. It's a trouble thing. It started out as a race thing, a police brutality type thing. But it's turned into much more than that. And what it is war. And we're in a war. We're in a civil war here in our country. And to the winner is going to go the spoils of our country. And I'm glad, I hope I'm on the winning side. I believe if the election was held today, that Trump would win hands down. But the concern is the way the media does and the way all the lies and the hypocrisy that's going on, that they will try their best to tear him down. And one big could cost him the election right now because they're so focused. They're trying so hard. If we lost the Congress, if our Senate lost this next race, and we had the president we got, we're doomed in because they're going to pass stuff. They've already said they're going to. There's people like AOC and some of them that have said exactly what their agenda is. And they have got this little minority of folks that are liberal thinkers that have think they have, because they bark big, but they're small. But because of that, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And we're seeing normal folks like myself, the silent majority, that stand back. We're not fighters. We're not troublemakers. We're just people out. One thing, too, people like myself, we're out busy working, making a living. We ain't got time to go riot. We ain't got time for this nonsense. I'm not a fighter person. I'm not somebody that's going to go out and start causing trouble. I'm not going to go cut the head off of Christopher Columbus or any of the other leaders that we've had in our country, or Abe Lincoln, or George Washington, or Thomas Jefferson. I'm not going to go out and destroy their statues and stuff. I'm proud of our history that we've had here. I know that we've had bad times, but because of the history we've had, it helps us to look back and say, let's don't repeat that. But because of these people that were willing to do what they did, it's made our country great. And there's folks that cannot stand our country. They can't stand the freedoms we have, and they're out to destroy us. They can't stand it that you have a freedom of religion in our country, that you have a right to go wherever you want to church. You can even worship the devil in our country, and you have the freedom to do that, and there's people that want to stop that. They can't stand that you have a freedom. They want to tell you who to worship, and what they want you to worship is the government. Also, people, that's what happens when you have socialism and communism. You worship the government, and that's exactly what they're teaching and what they want you to do. And you think political stuff's bad now. You wait until they get that instituted. We've already turned it into a socialist society. It's just if they have their way, we'll end up just like Germany was, or Russia, or North Korea. There's people that would love to see us do that. And I'm telling you, it's not as pretty a picture as they're painting. But I'm preparing for the next whatever. What if civil unrest breaks out worse than it already has? What if they have to institute martial law? What if these big plants have to close down because there's more viruses? Or they have to close down because there's such chaos in the streets they can't even open up their plants? This has happened in other places. What if we turn into another Venezuela country? It's time to get back to the old way of doing things and the old way of thinking. And the Bible tells us, seek out the old paths and walk therein. And I think the old way of doing things was a lot better. And I think these folks that are trying to destroy, and some of this nonsense of getting rid of our police departments and doing some of the stuff, I mean, you don't have to have much of education. There's first graders down here at our school that's got more sense than that. And thank the Lord, there's still some people that's got some common sense about them and willing to do what's right. But we got to get ready, folks, for the next whatever. A lot of this stuff, this winter could be short still. So while you have time, if you find something that you can stock up on, even you're not going to have time now to grow all of your food for this coming up winter. You're going to have to stock. I've heard some others, like Deep South Homestead, they were mentioning that the other day. Wanda had a comment about, folks might have to buy food. There's folks that you're not going to have time to raise everything. You don't have time to get everything prepared. It's okay to get started now, but perhaps it's time to get some stuff stockpiled back. Get some of your bills paid down. Don't go on that vacation. Use that money to help prepare yourself for what could lie ahead. I'm preparing for the worst, but I'm hoping and praying for the best. And I hope that it ain't nothing like what I think it's going to be, but I still believe we're in some serious fallout just from this big handout that the government give, this big stimulus that they handed out, all the unemployment that's been paid out, all this stuff that's going on. I think we're in for some fallout from that. Still, just from that is enough to make me think we need to get prepared and do all we can to prepare ourselves for what lies ahead. Even if our president gets reelected, we are in for some rough roads ahead. It's time to get prepared. It's time to get ready. I certainly appreciate you watching today. I certainly do not want to be a doom and gloomist. I know that if we have God on our side, we can be victorious, but we have to listen to what God is telling us. And if you're not listening and paying attention, you'll be caught unaware. And I think there's enough warning now. We have the Bible to tell us what lies ahead. We need to prepare ourselves and do. You know, God provides worms for birds, and this is one of my most favorite sayings. He provides worms for birds, but He don't cram it down its throat. And I've had people say, oh, but what about the children of Israel? I want to throw this little bit of Bible into you that people leave out. God told them to have their dough prepared, and not to put leaven in it, but to have their dough prepared when they were leaving Egypt. So they had food to eat for a while because they made provisions and done what God said. They were also told to leave with their shoes on, to keep their shoes on their feet because they didn't know when they were going to be leaving Egypt. God told them to be prepared. Also, when they left with herds of sheep and goats and cattle and whatever they needed for the time. They had herds of stuff to eat on. They had things. But after a while, after they crossed the Red Sea, they began to eat up their reserves because there was millions of people there, and they were also moving all the time. God provided shade for them during the heat of the day. At night, He had a nightlight for them. He had a bright flame that burnt for them so that they were lit up at night. During the day, He provided the shade. They got to a point where they needed water. God provided water. They come to a point where they needed food. God provided manna from them. They'd wake up in the morning and manna would be all over the place. And they would have to get up and go get it. See the key there? They had to get up and go get it. And God said, don't take more than you need for one day. You leave it. You just take enough for your family. And everybody that brought in the measurement that God told them to do, it filled them all up. They were fine. But some people said, no, we're going to keep more, so they kept more, and it stank. There was only one time that God told them they could keep more, and that was the evening before the Sabbath. On Friday evening at a certain time would be our Friday evening. From that time forward to sometime Saturday evening, they weren't allowed to work. So God allowed them to get twice as much so they didn't have to go out and get it. But God provided it for them, but they had to go get it and they had to prepare it. Later, God provided quail. Many call the Pharaoh quail that people are raising today. It's providing food. Pharaoh quail or Cortnix quail are providing food for a lot of people today. That is a big thing going on because people can raise them in their garage in small pens, small captivity, and they're quick to start laying eggs, and you can hatch them easily in an incubator, and people are really getting into that. Well, the thing is with that is they are God provided the children of Israel quail, but they had to get up and go kill them. They had to dress them. They had to cook them. They had to prepare them. God provided a way. God provides worms for the birds, but He don't cram it down their throat. They have to get up and go get it. So yes, I'm a faith person. I'm a Bible believer. I believe that whatever we ask in the name of Jesus, it'd be done. I believe we got the power. We've got God behind us, but I believe we have to do our part. And I know there's folks that's sitting back and don't do their part. You know, it reminds me of a story I heard one time of a flood was coming. And the police come by and they was telling everybody to evacuate, that the waters was going to get clear over the top of their homes. This man says, no, I'm not going anywhere. The Lord will take care of me. And they's like, well, we can't make you leave or whatever. Well, the water got up to his front porch, and he was sitting on his front porch in a rocking chair watching the water, and a boat come by, and the rescuers, the fire department was there, said, hey, get on board the boat here and get out so you got time to leave your premise right now. It's going to get over the top of your house. There's much more water coming. Nope, the Lord will take care of me. The Lord will take care of me. And he just kept rocking away. Well, the water got higher. He had to climb on top of his house. He was up on top of his house, and along come a helicopter. The National Guard, they come by, they lowered a rope down to him, said, tie this rope around you, we'll take you to safety. Nope, the Lord's going to take care of me. And they said, okay. And they said, we got other people, we've got to go. So they left him on top of the roof. Well, he drowned, died, went to heaven, got before the Lord, and he said, Lord, I'm so glad I'm saved and that you gave me life again, but said, I'm concerned, said, I thought you would rescue me and take care of me from this calamity, this flood that had come upon me. I always trusted you and trusted your word and everything. And God said, well, I sent the police by, I sent a motorboat by, and I sent a helicopter. If you wouldn't take one of them, what more can I do? I tell you folks, the warning signs are before us. You got your opportunity to make your preparations now. It's in your hands. We can shape our destiny. Everybody has that opportunity. Folks that say they have been held back because of the color of their skin, or because of their upbringing, or because of their economic status, you're full of baloney. That's a term we use around here in Oklahoma. You're full of baloney. Everybody. I don't care what color you are. I don't care where you came from. I've known people from all different types of backgrounds in this life that have succeeded and done very, very well. One of the most winning things I've known people to do is they put God first in their life. They got things settled with God. They begin to live according to God's Word, and they started working. They put their hands to work, and God blessed the work of their hands, and it all was history from there. And I can tell you, I don't have time today on this video, but I could tell you story after story of people. There have been people right around here that you didn't think had anything to their name, and you're like, how did they end up with all the money they had? When they died, their children was fighting over the money. It was because they worked and they trusted God, and God blessed them. You don't have to be rich to be happy. You don't have to have lots of money. But I do believe to find true happiness, you have to have the Lord. So I'm not trying to turn this into a sermon today, but I just want to share with you this thought, that you can have control over your destiny, and you make the best of what you want, and you can make the best of a bad situation if you want to. Or you can be like an old pig and just waller around in the pig pen. If that's what you want to do, hey, that's up to you. I've chose to lift myself up with the grace and help of God, and to move on through all adversities, and you can do it as well. I want to wish you a good day today. May God richly bless you. We'll see you next week. I'm trying to air these on Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock. Sometimes I have trouble uploading the videos. There's just been, I think, so many people on the internet here, and we don't have the best service in the world, but we're trying. But I hope it uploads on Tuesday night. But anyway, if you got a comment, leave it. If you like the video, hit the thumbs up. If you aren't a subscriber, why, we'd love to have you subscribe to our channel. I want to say thank you to all of our fellow subscribers, and we thank you for your loyalty through this time. May God richly bless you, and we'll see you next week here for more Porch Talk at Cedar Creek Homestead, and we're gone.